Oh, hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? This is Papa Goat Yugioh back to you with another upload. Today, I am bringing you my Magical Musketeer deck that I will be playing for the July 2020 format. Keep wanting to say June, even though we're in July now, but it's still the same format. And I want to ask you guys to go ahead and subscribe for more Yu-Gi-Oh videos. And if you like this deck, or you maybe want to test it out for yourself, go ahead and leave it a like. And yeah, let's go ahead and get right into the list. So it's a very good rogue contender. It's strictly going second deck as well. So we play 3 copies of Caspar. This is your Stratos. He searches any Musket card from your deck when you activate a spell or trap in the same column as him. And then we play 3 copies of Magical Musketeer Starfire. This lets you special summon a Magical Musket from the deck with a different name, and it leads to OTKs with your win condition that you play in the extra deck. We then play 3 copies of Magical Musketeer Kidbrave. He basically fixes your hands. He's really good because you discard any Magical Musket card from your hand and then you draw 2. Fixes dead hands, and then it helps extend plays. Very good. 1 copy of Doc. Doc is not as good as it used to be anymore. It just recycles from the graveyard. But this is basically like an OTK kind of style deck, so you want to have like as few breaks as possible, but you still need that extra name, so you just play the 1. And then the last Magical Musket we play is the Calamity. Calamity is basically the card that you're going to be summoning off of Starfire most of the time. It's a level 4, and again, it just gets you to that awesome win condition. So that's it for the Musket lineup. And for the rest of the deck, we play 2 copies of Parallel Exceed. We only played 2 copies because we're playing Phantasme. Parallel Exceed is just a really good way to establish your OTK. Only playing 2 again because Phantasme makes it to where you don't need to play 3. And then we're also playing 2 copies of Veiler. There's a lot of 2-ofs in the deck just because Phantasme fixes your hands, and then you play cards like Kidbrave 2 to help. 2 copies of Ash, 2 copies of Phantasme. Arguably, you could play 3 copies of Phantasme if you wanted to. The only reason I'm playing 2 is just because I wanted to keep the deck at 40, but if you want to play a 3rd Phantasme, you can bump the deck up to 41. It's just personal preference. And then the last monsters I'm playing in the deck is Gameciel. Again, we're a strict going second deck, and I found Gameciel to be probably the best kaiju that you could play. And it's basically what, like, the most standard to what everyone is used to doing. And that's it for the monsters in the deck. Continuing on for the spell lineup, we play 3 copies of Magical Musket Cross Domination. This card is basically like a quick play Fiendish Chain. Basically, you just target a face-up monster on the field, and then until the end of the turn, its effects are negated and it becomes 0 attack. So when you establish your win condition from the OTK, you activate this, and then your opponent is most likely going to lose. I've had very good win rates with it. So 2 copies of Super Poly. Again, we're just playing a lot of 2-ofs just because Phantasme fixes dead hands. Super Poly going second. It's amazing. Can't really argue with it. 2 copies of Desires. Arguably, you could play 3, but since I'm playing such a low Musket lineup, I'm just keeping it at 2 just so I don't banish all my Musket cards. And then 1 copy of Upstart. This isn't in here mainly because it's a 40 card deck, but it's also a great combo extender. It's a very good way to trigger off all your Magical Musket cards, and that's really it. I mean, and who doesn't love 39 card decks? 1 copy of Mind Control. Again, going second deck, you need as much going second cards as possible, and Mind Control is arguably one of the better going second cards. Just wish that I was at more than 1. Double or Nothing. If you haven't guessed it already in the profile, we are playing Utopia Double, and that's probably the best way this deck can win is by playing cards like Utopia Double, but you can also win without it. It's mainly there because that's your main win condition. And then we play 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Again, it's another combo extender because you just activate in the same column as a Musket card and then just trigger all the effects that you want. And the last spell we're playing is 1 copy of Instant Fusion. Same thing. Thousand Eyes Restrict is pretty good. It acts as your second copy of Mind Control. And then you could also put special summon cards like Mud Dragon with it to extend your rank 4 plays. And that's really it for the spell lineup. Lastly, for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Magical Musket Desperado. Very standard. This is probably the best Magical Musket trap, arguably with 2 copies of Magical Musket Last Stand. The reason I'm not playing 3 is because going second, like, sure, it beats cards like Infinite Impermanence and beats your random local player playing like Mirror Forest, all that random stuff. But Last Stand is not good enough to play at 3 like Desperado. I just feel Desperado is just more generic since it just targets face-up cards to destroy. And I just feel it's better than 3 copies of Last Stand. For 1Ms, we play 1 Dancing Needle. It's basically a pseudo DD Crow. It banishes 3 cards from the graveyards, and that can be your graveyard as well, but it's just another good extender. And the last trap card we're playing is 3 copies of Magical Musketeer Crooked Crown. This probably is the most underrated trap card in the deck, just because it fixes your dead hands. Like, if you draw Calamity and you already have Starfire out, Crooked Crown will let you special summon the Calamity from your hand, and then you can further into your OTK into Utopia double like that. But that's the main deck. It's a perfect 40 card main deck, no less, no more. I guess it could be less if you're counting Upstart Goblin, but I don't. Onto the extra deck, we play 3 copies of Musketeer Max. This card is crazy. When it's link summoned, you can do 2 different things. Depending on what your monster or what your opponent controls, you can special summon as many magical musket monsters depending on how many spells or traps that they control, or if they control a lot of monsters, then you could add that many magical musket spells or traps from your deck to your hand. Magical musket, it's like the worst thing to say fast, so I apologize. But moving on with the extra deck, we play 1 copy of Linkuriboh. It's because we are playing Thousand Eyes Restrict in the deck. There are some pretty bad hands that I have experienced, so I wanted to have the Linkuriboh in there for when I just have to activate Instant Fusion, summon Thousand Eyes, and pass. And then my Thousand Eyes would build up, so I just play the Linkuriboh now just in case, just to have like that one source of hope. But if that's what's happening, then you're probably losing anyway. 1 Phoenix and 1 Unicorn. Don't really need to explain these, it's just generic removal. And then we play a copy of Boral Sword. If you can't access your Utopia double, then Boral Sword is probably the next best option. Very good, and you're playing cards like Mind Control and Instant Fusion. Like, you should be able to make this if you somehow can't access Utopia double in the deck. Moving on with the extra deck, we play a few fusion cards because we're playing Super Poly. So we play Thousand Eyes Restrict for Instant Fusion. Arguably, you could use this as an Instant Fusion target as well, but you're mainly using it for Super Polymerization. Again, just easy, 2 monsters with the same attribute but different types. It's very generic. Earth Golem at Ignister. I was debating this or Predaplant Dragocepelia, I think is the name. I just found Earth Golem at Ignister to be just a little bit more better, also because we're playing Starving Venom, and Starving Venom is just great against the Rocket Link deck that a lot of people have been playing. It's also really good against Eldritch, so I just thought I didn't need to play Dragocepelia. I thought Venom and Earth Golem were just the better options, but it's all just personal preference. And then for rounding off the extra deck, you play the 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, just because you never know what your opponent's going to do. This is a strictly going second deck, but if they force you to go first, then you're able to set up that turn 1 Dweller just to stall, hopefully not die, but if you die, like, it'll happen. Then we play 1 copy of Exciton Knight, again, going second, just being able to clear opponent's board the best way as possible. It's an easy negate too, or like, not really an easy negate, but like an easy bait, depending on what your opponent has set up. But I love Exciton Knight, and I just love playing it and going second deck, so that's just personal preference for me. And then to round off the extra deck, we play 1 double and 1 regular Utopia for your win condition. The amount of games that you can steal with Utopia double and Utopia, like, it's just crazy. Like, it gives this deck the ability to still compete in today's meta with all the overpowered stuff that's in the meta. But yeah, guys, that's really it. I hope you like this deck profile. Feel free to give it a shot yourself online. It's a very good sleeper deck, this format, but If you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you feel that there's something that I was missing in the deck, like feel free to let me know. I'm open to all suggestions. Like this channel is all about like getting like more into the game. It's also about like helping you guys, and thank you for the overwhelming support. I've been doing this for about like 3 weeks, maybe a month now, and I'm already at almost 40 subscribers, and the view count is like at like 1200, I think. So I couldn't ask you guys for any more great support. You've been amazing, and you're the reason I want to keep doing this. But thank you for tuning in. Please give the video a thumb up if you liked it. And this has been Papa Goat Yugioh. Until next time, guys, stay dueling.